Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new PSGL race highlights here for another mystery GP. As you can see on your screen has turned out to be Spain here. One of actually my favourite tracks on the calendar, to be honest. It's very underrated and it's very enjoyable to drive, especially with this new final sector that has been integrated comparing to the previous final sector that had the Mickey Mouse-esque final chicane, and we're looking to try and improve on from our first lap here in Q1, what wasn't, to be honest, very good, and we actually went 18th out of 18th here. So it's all to do on the final lap here in Spain to get through and out of Q1. So with that being said, we need to come down the straight. You can see me slightly adjusting the wire on my shoulder as we're coming down 50 meter board into the apex out of turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, now heading onto a flat out section. Already going to be a 10th up on our delta coming out of the first sector. So it's been very successful into 4th gear. Very nice to the apex there. Nicely committed on the power. Now 3, 4 attempts up even down to 3rd gear. Let the car rotate, and this has been a pretty successful lap so far as we carry the speed through into the chicane. Early back on the power. Lovely jubbly. 4 attempts up now on the delta. Flat out through the right hander, opening DRS, and now we're going to be coming up to my biggest mistake on the lap, down in the braking zone. You see we had a big snap of oversteer under braking, what I meant we had to correct it, and now the tyres are going to be really sliding. The surface is not in a good temperature window. Through the right hander again, just not really picking up any grip. The delta staying pretty even compared to the previous lap. Throughout the final corner, running up to the line, and I could say already open the DRS. We go provisionally 13th, what does turn into 16th as we're returning back to the pit. So that's us done and dusted for Q1, and we just did not get the lap together that I would have liked, and yeah, but that is what it is, and now we have an opportunity to make a race of it and to come back stronger, and we have 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go here in Catalonia, and we're going to be on the medium compound tyres. Some people on the hard and soft tyres around us as well. In the slipstream of Ulas, we're going to go down to the inside, not really looking for the overtake, but more just trying to defend our space on the track. Side by side with Carlton, and already making up 1 position. Jed has going a little bit wide up ahead, and now we're going to be in the slipstream of him, making him go defensive. We're just going to go clean around his outside here as well. Maybe we can look around the outside of Ulas, but not quite doing there. Side by side with Jed still now under the braking zone. Almost going to be contact with Ulas, but we kept it away from his rear tyre, and now that is us up into P14, and that position has been secured on Jed. Ulas ahead on the soft compound tyres, so it's going to be very difficult to try and make up some ground against him, given the pace advantage his tyres will be having right now. You can see, looking to the outside, and we are going to be doing the switchback as he gets shuffled a little bit wide by Nicholas Longue up ahead, and now going clean around his outside with a bit of fresh air on our wings, and we are up into P13 all over the back of Nicholas Longue, who's on the hard compound tyres, and we are going to be able to dispatch of him pretty promptly on the straight as well. So just using a bit of battery now, and in the slipstream, getting the move done, and that is us up into P12, already starting lap 2 here in Catalonia, Spain. So now you can see Jake is up behind us on the soft compound tyres, and we're just not even going to bother defending right now. We know it's better for my race later on that we don't lose time, don't lose battery, don't lose tyre performance trying to defend from Jake, who's ultimately on tyres that are significantly faster than mine right now, as showing as he's been able to get past Tom Manley as well. And now we have Thomas Ronhal behind us, our teammate, and we're going to be letting him go past on the straight, and we're basically taking it in turns to try and battle with Tom up ahead and get further and further into this race. So he spent some time battery saving, and now I'm going to spend some time battery saving and tyre saving as well. Lap 14, you can see we're going to be going past Thomas back on the straight, so we spent some laps saving the tyres, saving the battery, and we're going to try and get a move done on Tom up ahead late on the break. You can see Tom's gone a bit wide, giving us an opportunity, looking for the clean air, switching back underneath him, and now flat out through the right hander, using a bit of battery, trying to make him go a bit more defensive. defensive, and he isn't going to go fully defensive, and we're just going to try and do a bit of a switchback, open up the traction of the car, using a bit more battery, try and make him more defensive again, but nothing doing there, and we actually have to go a bit on the grass to avoid contact with the rear right tyre of his car. With that being said though, that was our overtaking opportunity done and dusted, and we're going to try and settle back in, save a bit of battery, as with Spain it's very difficult to save battery and it's very easy to lose it. Although we are coming back into the pit lane now, and we're going to be setting on
good info on the stint.
A set of soft compound
I
tyres.
think we have the perfect battery, no? Basically.
And you hear me say about perfect battery, and what that is about is quite honestly, you recharge about 17% battery in the pit lane, so you don't actually want to come into the pit lane with 100% battery, as it's wasted opportunity, wasted lap time. But coming in with slightly lower battery allows you to recharge a bit during the pit lane and come out with a higher race potential than if you didn't use any battery on the in-lap. With that being said though, we are now down in P18 as the pit stops are starting to filter out. We've got 4 cars still on track that we should come out ahead of, but now we have to focus on Tom, as it is very early, to be honest, to be on the soft compound tyres, and it started to already raise questions in my mind that everyone around me was on the medium compound tyres and I was on the soft compound tyres. And as you're going to see, no one else boxes for softs going on to the next lap either. And the earliest lap boxing for softs is lap 19. So it's going to be a very difficult rest of the stint as we're trying to make the best of it, going clean around the outside of Tom Manley. And we are going to be up into P17. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very difficult rest of the stint, as you can actually hear me talk on the radio in just a second as we're coming through the final corner, and you're going to hear me on the radio just about now.
Yeah, what's my tyre wear at the end going to be?
So you can hear me asking what my predicted tyre wear at the end is going to be, and you'll get the reply in a few corners time. But you can see a massive gap ahead of this little train to the leading pack as well. It's going to be very difficult to overcome. What? And you can hear my what is, I got told that my tyres, I can't say the exact percentage for obvious reasons, but I got told that my tyres are going to be firmly and very far into puncture territory at the end of the race. So now it was a very difficult situation for me to be in, to be honest, because although I can make up a few positions right now on track, as you're going to see, we're going already on the attack of Avara Carlton, Nicholas Longue. We go to the inside, Carlton hits the back of Longue, and we're able to do the switchback and get the move done on both of them and move up provisionally into P15, right up behind Luke Smith. But as I was saying, although I can make up positions now, there's such a big gap, 4.5 seconds to the leading train. So I'm going to have to overtake all these cars, catch up to the leading train, and then have whatever tyres I have left at that point. It's going to be a very, very difficult situation to make work, especially on the final 2 laps of the race, as my tyres, as I already said, were going to be firmly within the puncture territory. And if you know the soft compound tyres on this game, or pretty much any tyre on this game, once you get to that area of tyre wear, it's done and dusted. It's very difficult to generate any grip or any competitiveness, especially in a field of cars as fast as this. But with that being said though, we still have the rest of the race to make the best of this situation and try and fight to pick up some point paying positions as we go on to lap 21. And now we're going to go past Luke Smith on the straight with 73% battery, and now we have a mammoth of a gap, 3.5 seconds to close in while I'm on the soft compound tyres. And I also have to make sure that we're not going to be vulnerable to the cars behind in the situation. So now lap 23, and this is exactly what I was talking about with using vulnerability, and Luke Smith is trying to go past us around the outside into turn 1, when as well we will be closing in on Jarno. So Luke was basically trying to time it that he would get past me the lap that we was catching up to the train, and of course that's not good for me, as if I was not catching up to the train first, would put me at a decreased chance of getting past. So I had to use a lot of my spare battery to try and keep the position there, and I'm going to have to use a little bit more to ensure that I find the DRS of Jarno up ahead, as if I'm not in the DRS of Jarno up ahead on this lap, it is going to be a very difficult situation to keep Luke and Nicholas Longate behind before we even have the opportunity to try and overtake the cars up ahead. So now 9 tenths, 1 second as well, the gap going up as Jarno's get the DRS down the back straight. But now it's going to be 9.5 tenths, and we should be within the DRS detection of Jarno Opmeer up ahead, providing we do not make any mistakes, what we do not. And now we're going to be 7.3 tenths behind on lap 23, going on to lap 24. And you can see the understeer is already starting to kick in.
What, now tyre save the rest of the race?
And yeah, you can already hear me asking to tyre save because I don't want a puncture. I don't want to have a puncture at the end of the race. That would be disastrous. So now I'm really in a position that caught up, and now basically we'll have to tyre save for the rest of the race, which is going to be really difficult to do, especially with so many cars that will be on better tyres than me, to be honest, at the end by the percent wear. People who box on the same lap as me going towards the mediums are going to be multiple tenths a lap faster at the end. But this is what it is. This is racing sometimes, and sometimes the strategy doesn't unfold the way I would have loved it to, and Jake Benham is going to be dispatched on the back straight, heading down into lap 26 now. We're all over the back of Jarno Opmeer, and now we're going to be catching one of the more difficult moments in the race as Jarno actually has a massive snap of oversteer up ahead of us, and we had to lift off to not break our wing and not to make bigger contact than we actually would have done with him as well. So that cost us a lot of momentum and cost us a lot of battery and has put us further away from Jarno when our opportunities seem to be looming large to get past Jarno Opmeer on this lap. But unfortunately nothing was able to do in that situation, and we're going to have to fall back and look for another opportunity in this race. Lap 27.
Yeah, but my tyres, man.
You can hear me already saying about the tyres.
If I don't have tyres, I can't
You
pass.
can already hear me complaining about the tyres.
When did the soft stop being faster?
And you can hear me also ask when the soft stopped being faster, and that was pretty imminent already. I can't say the exact lap because of all course of the data that we have, but yeah, it was pretty imminent, and now just looking for the slipstream of Jarno up ahead, as well with Thomas behind me as well, who's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, what was quite unfortunate as well. From what I understand, was by like 1 kilometer an hour, and now lap 29, we just let Thomas go.
You speak to me on the straights.
We let Thomas go quite simply because our tyres are dead. He's got 2 lap fresher tyres than me, and at this point in the race, with how much my tyres are worn, it was a big disadvantage for me as Longue just sends it up the inside, and then we get pushed off the track on the exit, and yeah, I guess rubbing racing in some situations. But yeah, these things can happen in racing. So although I've said a lot about the tyres, I've said a lot about a lot of stuff in this video, in fact, ultimately this is racing, and I don't want to be complaining about this sort of stuff because it always happens. But now we are going to be on lap 29, trying to fight our way forward. Nicholas Longue is going to be very close to not picking up the DRS detection, and you can see how little grip we actually have on our tyres, as Longue was able to pull away multiple tenths on one traction zone alone. And you can see we don't even bother using the battery because Nicholas got the DRS, and just would have been a worthless fight for us. And we've been able to hang on to P11, as now we're coming to the end of the race. We'll be turning into some decent points paying position, as ultimately Nicholas Longue got disqualified from this race. Thomas had a 5-second penalty. Duncan had a 3-second penalty up ahead, and I think there were some other penalties that got dished out by the PSGL stewards. So if I remember correctly, we actually ended up P7, maybe P6 from this race in the end, and across the line we were P9, but again with PSGL putting some more penalties in at the end of the race, we do end up in a fairly solid P7, P6, what is very good considering where we started out of Q1. But as I said, I mentioned a lot about the strategy in this race, and I'm really grateful for the engineers that I have to work within the team. So yeah, these things can happen, and now we've worked extremely hard behind the scenes to fix for the next race and to make the next races as good as possible. We had a really good debrief, we had a really good meeting, and for this I'm really happy about after the race. And going forward, I'm really confident that we can understand the situations more in the race and to make them as good as possible and to be mastering the strategy elements of the race as well. Of course, I've got to pick up some pace and pick up some performance in these next races as well, because I have not been happy with myself going out of Q1 2 times in a row, but I'm confident to rectify that and to put it in a better position going forward. So that being said, the next race will be uploaded, will be Mexico in fact, and I'll catch you then on my kick page. Grazie Versace, ciao ciao, thank you for watching, bye bye.